Coming up this week on Trans World Sport, the aquabikes are out in force in Italy.
In America, they're using their bikes to play polo in New York City.
We head to Croatia to try our hand at the traditional sport of Picigin. Olbia on the Italian island of Sardinia was the location for the second round of the UIM ABP Aquabike World Championships. Aquabike jet skis are personal watercraft vehicles purpose-built for racing and modified according to class. The sport is one of the fastest, most spectacular and demanding events on water. Runabout aquabikes are the largest and most powerful in the championship, and it was those that most of the crowd had come to see race. Yusuf Al Abdulrazak of Kuwait was runner-up in this category last year.
Last year, the race was one of the hardest races I've raced ever, because the waves come from every angle. You have walls in the front and the side, and it hits and come back again. So it's hard to calculate how the waves are gonna come. We're gonna do our best, and hopefully we push as strong as we can.
The Olbia circuit is notoriously difficult, with open water conditions that push the riders to their physical limits. A huge amount of skill is also required on this tight and technical course. In the runabout GP1 category, the bikes are capable of reaching speeds in excess of 170 kilometers per hour. After the opening round of the season in Portugal, Rashid Al Tayer of the UAE was tied at the top of the leaderboard with defending world champion Jeremy Perez of France.
For first race, I feel very happy to get the first place, and I lead the championship. For this race, I make my boat ready for the pole position, but I have some problem in my boat. I solved the problem for Moto 1.
Jeremy Perez dominated the Olbia event last year. Victory here helped him to secure his first world title after 10 years of trying.
Yeah, in Portugal for the first GP round, I did a good race. I finished second, but same point of Altair. Was a good start for the season. So we come here in Olbia to win this round, but also to finish the race and to get the maximum of points, because how I said in Portugal, the championship will be long.
Four-time world champion Yusuf Al Abdulrazak suffered engine problems at the opening round in Portugal, and he was determined to make up the points gap on Perez and Altair in Sardinia. At every event, there are two races. Al Abdulrazak won the opening one ahead of Rashid Al Tayer. Jeremy Perez didn't finish race one due to technical difficulties, and he knew that a big performance was required second time around. However, from the outset, Perez and the others were trying to make up ground on an in-form Al Abdulrazak. The 39-year-old Kuwaiti rider set off from pole position and never looked back. Rashid Al Tayer suffered engine problems early on. Al Tayer did manage to rejoin the action, but he was later black flagged and disqualified due to a course infringement. As the race progressed, the riders were still all chasing Al Abdulrazak, who had opened up a lead of nearly a minute. He weaved his way through the back markers, having a very comfortable run. Denmark's Markus Jorgensen was in second, while Jeremy Perez became embroiled in a battle for third with Poland's Andrzej Wisniewski. In the end, it would be the Pole who would claim third, with Perez having to settle for fourth. Young Swedish talent Samuel Johansson had a disappointing end to his day. But up front, it was all smooth sailing for Abdurrazak, who secured his second win of the event. Second place for Marcus Jorgensen moved him to the top of the overall standings, with Al Abdurrazak now up to 7th.
Amazing. Thankfully, everything went perfect. Got the maximum points as we planned. Me and my mechanic did a great job. The whole team did a great job, and the results speak for itself. It was a smooth race for us. Now we're catching up with Jeremy and Rashid.
Now it's time for our sporting question. July sees the 2019 Fencing World Championships take place in Hungary, and amongst the stars on show will be Eli Dershowitz. The American will be hoping to upgrade his silver medal from 2018 in the individual sabre category. The 23-year-old from Massachusetts is currently the #1 ranked sabre competitor in the world. Having dominated the junior circuit, Eli went to the Rio Olympics with high hopes, but he suffered a shock first-round exit. However, he bounced back at last year's Worlds, winning silver. And it's the Fencing World Championships that provide us with the subject for our question. We'd like you to name the fencer who has won the most medals in the history of the event. We'll bring you the answer later in the show.
For some, the relaxing nature of golf is one of its big attractions. For others, a perceived lack of dynamism can be a turnoff. Speed golf is a version of the sport which injects more energy into the traditional game. The aim is to finish the course not only accurately, but quickly. The scoring system combines the total shots made with the time taken. Each player is allowed 7 clubs, and buggies are strictly prohibited.
I think it's very good in terms of time. Golf is 4 or 5 hour round, and a lot of families, mums, dads can't actually get out for 5 hours. So I think maybe this as kind of a fast-paced version of golf is actually really good.
One of the hardest parts of the sport is to get a balance between setting a fast time and having the composure to execute a good shot. With an increase in heart rates and the distraction of the clock, there are more variables that come into play than in regular golf.
A mustache.
If you sprint between shots, by the time you get to the ball, your heart is going so much, it's very hard to then play a shot. So it's just trying to learn to find a steady pace that you feel comfortable that as you're running towards the ball, you're already thinking about how you're going to hit it, but you're not out of breath when you do hit the ball.
Not bad, putting could be better.
This year's British Speed Golf Pairs Championship took place at the Sweetwoods Park Club in East Sussex. It would normally take over 4 hours to complete the course, but the winning time wasn't expected to exceed an hour. The duo of Chris Benians and Steve Jeffs hit that mark, completing the course in just over 50 minutes. But Benians and Jeffs finished narrowly behind amateur golfer George Boxall and PGA pro Tom Roberts, who successfully defended the title they won last year.
Quality, well done. The score was all right. We had some good shots out there. Missed a couple of little ones, unfortunately, but yeah, not bad. What was it? What was it?
I think we shot about 10 over. I've got about 49 minutes or something.
About under 50, that was the goal, wasn't it?
Boxall and Roberts finished with 82 strokes in 49 minutes and 28 seconds. One shot and 1 minute better than their rivals.
I mean, obviously played in it last year. I know Chris was obviously second last year as well, and I know that he's a very, very good player. The chap that he played with today, I'd not met before today, but George had told me before that it was going to be tight. So yeah, it came down to, I think, literally a couple of putts. I managed to hole a couple of good ones out there, which was quite nice, and yeah, so it got the job done today.
Many congratulations.
Just want to say as well, some massive congratulations to Tom. I thought he'd done really well out there. It's only the second time he's played it. I thought he did brilliantly today. Held some great putts. That one up 17, that was the winner.
Oh, they were, yeah. It was. It was good to cheer just now. It was brilliant, absolutely brilliant.
And a good day was had by all.
Really, really tough, but great fun. Great fun.
Very enjoyable. Honest.
I'm glad it's over.
I'm knackered. I'm done.
Fast and furious, yet with a certain elegance and style, this is hard-court bike polo. To find out more about this growing sport, we headed to the American city of New York.
I really love being on a team of people and riding bikes in the way that this sport makes you ride is just so fun. It's like dancing, but extremely fast. And I can't get enough of it.
Near the banks of the East River in downtown Manhattan, the New York City Bike Polo Club meets up every Sunday for a highly competitive training session. In this sport, 2 teams of 3 play in an enclosed area with goals placed at each end. Helmets are the only equipment mandated by the rulebook, but gloves are also worn by the majority of players, and many wear shin and knee guards too. In matches, the winning team is generally the first to score 5 goals. Andrew Otto is a long-standing member of the NYC club.
Bike polo should really be called bike hockey. It's much more like hockey than it is like polo. It's called polo because originally it was played on grass, just like horse polo was, but since it's moved to being played on hard court, it's way more like hockey than it is like polo.
Hardcourt bike polo is a variation of traditional bicycle polo. Bicycle polo has a long history. Originating in Ireland in 1891, it was included in the 1908 London Olympics. It declined in popularity after the Second World War, but made a comeback in the 1980s. Modern hardcourt bike polo has its roots in the United States. At the turn of this century, it was started by bike messengers who had downtime in between deliveries. The sport's public debut came at the 2001 Seattle Bicycle Expo, and today it's played in over 30 countries around the world. With a number of associations now in existence, discussions are still taking place on a full set of rules, which currently can change from one tournament to another.
It's 3-on-3. There's a bunch of rules, but the main ones are that you can't put your foot down. If you do, you have to ride to the side of the court and tap out before you can come back into play. And to score, you have to hit it with the smaller end of the mallet. You can't push it in.
Situated in Brooklyn is the Red Lantern Bicycle Shop. Zach Blackburn works here. He used to be a bike messenger, weaving in and out of the traffic on the streets of Manhattan. A key member of the NYC club, Zach keeps a close eye on the sport's development and the bikes being used.
Most everyone's just on a single speed freewheel. The 48 spokes is pretty big, I think, especially in the New York City club. That seems to be like our trend. I think maybe some cities like they just get away with like having 32 or 36 spokes and then use wheel covers to keep them all in place. I think lately, and by lately I mean the last couple of years, I've mellowed out a lot and started to really enjoy like the community and just being around everyone else that loves the sport and likes to see it grow and loves to see like the rules development and how they're enforced and what the rules actually are, because for a while they were just changing from one tournament to the next.
The Sunday morning practice sessions are played close to the Manhattan Bridge, but by the afternoon, an increase in numbers sees the squad move uptown into Chinatown to a court affectionately known as the Pit. Such a centralised location has been key to showcasing the sport and essential in player recruitment, as Dylan Heister explains.
I think the main way that our club grows is playing here in the Pit and people coming by, especially bike messengers and people who are interested in bikes. They'll just stop by or they'll hear about it through us. Like all of us ride and whatever, they're messengers and delivery guys. And people will just stop and see it and try it once, try it twice. And if they get caught, if they get the bug, then they'll come back.
Regarded as one of the top clubs on the East Coast, and with a large squad to select from, the NYC pickup sessions are well attended and very competitive.
I mean, these guys, they're some of the best in the world, and being around that is very addicting. Being around people who are so talented just makes me personally want to do it constantly. And I know that happens to a lot of people. It's like this bug, this weird addiction that you get to just play constantly.
A few days later, Transworld Sport travelled with some of the squad to Boston for a low-key tournament. The event was being used to try out a new format, with the first of 5 goals rule scrapped in favour of playing games lasting 30 minutes. Zach Blackburn was optimistic about his team's chances.
You can't go into a tournament, any tournament really, and not think you can win and still win. Like if there's any doubt at any point that I don't know, you line up on your side of the court, you see who you're faced up against, and you think well, it was a good run, guys, you're not gonna win. So I've got to keep a positive mental attitude, I guess.
There were a number of teams from the Northeast USA taking part, and up for grabs was not only regional bragging rights, but also a cash prize of $1,000.
It reminds me of playing the piano in the sense that you have to learn both hands, and you don't really get the luxury of practicing one hand at a time, because it's very strange to be in control of your motion with one hand, and you have to kind of think about that, and then you're also trying to control and maneuver this mallet that controls a ball at the same time. So it's this kind of strange duality where your movements won't necessarily be the same.
Unfortunately for the men from New York, they were beaten in the semi-finals by a local Boston team in an exciting 11-10 encounter. Yet, for the NYC club, the trip was a success, and they returned home to continue spreading the word about hardcourt bike polo.
Some good shooting.
It's not just like the game, it's also the community that New York has. It's just an outstanding group of people. It's all I want to do on Sundays.
Our top 5 this week looks at some more variations of polo. First up is elephant polo. Originating in India, it's played on a smaller pitch than traditional polo, and with 2 people on each elephant. The mahout attempts to steer the animal, while the player uses a 9-foot-long mallet to try and hit the ball.
Segway polo is the most modern variation of the sport. It follows the basic rules of usual polo, except each team comprises 5 players aboard HTs, or human transporters, self-balancing machines which are capable of reaching speeds of up to 20 kilometers per hour.
Tuk-tuk polo is played in the Sri Lankan town of Galle. Matches are played over 2 10-minute chukkas. There are 3 vehicles per team, each consisting of a player and a driver. Good communication between them is vital.
The idea for snow polo originated amongst players of the St. Moritz Polo Club. They stage games on the resort's frozen lake. The game on snow consists of 4 7.5-minute chukkas. That's about half the duration of a grass polo contest.
And finally, played in Mongolia, yak polo involves 2 teams of 3 playing for 2 15-minute periods. Initially created to boost tourism, the sport is growing in popularity and has helped preserve Mongolia's dwindling yak population.
The Swedish city of Kristianstad provided the setting for the 3rd round of the FIA Karting European Championships. This sport often provides valuable race experience for young drivers hoping to move up to Formula 1. The original kart or OK category features youngsters over the age of 14. Scotland's Dexter Patterson went into round 3 leading the overall standings ahead of Italy's Lorenzo Travisanuto.
I think the season so far has been quite good. We've been off the podium only 2 times since January, so no, I think so far in the championship as well has been good. The points have been good, and yeah, we have to try to follow that on for this weekend. Yeah, it was quite hard in Genk. We finished 3rd on track, but still we had the pace for 2nd, and after a penalty to finish 2nd and get a good haul of points was a really good result.
First day, I came here in the morning and we had the first practice session, 8 a.m. in the morning. It was a really nice weather, and honestly I did the first laps around here and it felt emotional. We struggled a little bit to find the right setup and the right balance, but now we worked toward the right direction. We found the problem, and finally now I think we're really competitive. Dexter for sure is in a good position in the championship because he's got two good rounds with 2 good positions. There are at least 5-6 drivers that are going to be pretty competitive here around Kristianstad.
The 25 laps of racing got underway with Dexter Patterson on pole. Behind him, Lorenzo Travisanuto banged wheels with Gabriel Mini through the first corner, and Pedro Hiltbrand sneaked up the inside of both drivers to grab 2nd place. Meanwhile, Alessandro Ilando and Morgan Porter were victims of the first chicane. They both tried and failed to return to the track. Hiltbrand soon had his sights set on the lead, and he passed Patterson at the first opportunity. Patterson briefly regained the lead before Hiltbrand of Spain surged past him again. The Scot was then overtaken by Italian duo Lorenzo Travisanuto and Gabriel Mini, and the standings leader dropped back to 6th. On lap 3, Travis Anuto spotted a chance to get on the inside of Hiltbrand and he made it look easy. Now in the lead, the Italian controlled the race. On the final lap, Gabriele Mini did his best to reel Travis Anuto in. But Travis Anuto knows this track well, having won here on a number of occasions. He managed to hold on to take the win. The victory helped the Italian cut Dexter Patterson's lead in the overall standings to just 4 points with one race remaining.
It hasn't been easy in Anderville, so for sure we dropped some points over there. But the last few races has been really, really good. The speed has always been there, and we've managed to catch up in the last 2 rounds. So I'm pretty positive. And yeah, this week was all around perfect. We started in the practices, we were not super quick. My mechanic has made a really, really nice move, and we made an adjustment with the team that really paid off so well. And from the practices, in the qualifying practices, we've been really, really fast. So I was confident that the heats would have gone well, and then we would have been fast also in the final.
Split, Croatia's second largest city. At its heart is the Roman Emperor Diocletian's palace, dating back over 1,700 years. The ancient capital of Dalmatia, Split has passed through Byzantine, Venetian, Hungarian, Italian, French, Austrian, German, and Yugoslavian hands. Today, this World Heritage Site has its own unmistakable identity, and dozens of bars, restaurants, and shops are thriving in the surrounds of the historic palace walls. A stone's throw from the old center is Bahkvica Beach, and it's here in the turquoise Adriatic waters that a certain game can be found. A little like water polo, a little like volleyball. To some, you can only be considered a true player if you compete wearing Speedos. This is the sport of Picigin.
People started playing Picigin in Split over 80 years ago. It was a fun distraction, and you only needed a small ball to play it. Back then, players would stand in a small circle. It was usually well-built young guys trying to impress the girls on the beach. It was an easy, fun and relaxing game. The meaning of the word Picigin is to have fun, to joke around. But it's evolved into a serious sport.
Picigin is played with a tennis ball that has been peeled down to its rubber interior. With players standing in a roughly circular formation, the aim is simply to prevent the ball from entering the water. Players must pass to each other with one touch of the ball, and the aim is to build the most creative and spectacular of rallies in the process. While players might be found bounding across shores in Cyprus, Portugal, and Italy, it's only here in Split that the true form of the game is played. With a career spanning 4 decades, Antisa Truta is a veteran of the Picigin scene.
Picigin is a widespread sport nowadays, but there are only 20 to 30 players in the world who actually play real Picigin, or world Picigin. Everyone else is still playing a form of Picigin, but not like we do it here. If you have a look at this beach, the sea is only 5 to 10 centimeters deep. The sand is perfect. No place exists anywhere else in the world that is more suited to playing Picigin.
It is said that sport in Split originates on this beach. And that's no small claim for the self-proclaimed sportiest city in the world, with a roll call of Olympians and champions across a spectrum of sports. The only sand beach in this vast stretch of Croatia's Dalmatian coast, for decades people have flocked here to relax, socialize, and play sport. And it was purportedly a group of students from Prague in 1908 struggling to play water polo in the shallow waters who first invented Picigin.
The feeling for passing the ball and for hitting the ball is something you can only get through playing the game itself, through spending time on the beach. You normally hit the ball with the middle of the palm, but there are different techniques. Sometimes you might slice it with your fingers. Everything depends on the quality of the players you are playing with.
The benefits of playing Picigin are plentiful. Played by men and women, it's a game which is as appealing to a 20-year-old as a 70-year-old. It's a full-body workout in the sun. The beachfront's shallow water and sand reduces stress on joints when running, and with players diving up to 50 times in a game, the flat seabed makes for a forgiving landing after chasing ambitious passes. Alongside a dozen or others, Zelian Rahic turns up to play every morning.
I started playing Picigin some 15 years ago. The most important thing for a Picigin player is to have precise hands so you can pass the ball well. Being able to dive and jump well helps, but mostly it's practice. We play here every day. We've been playing together for a very long time and know each other very well.
Love for the sport is all it takes. Picigin is very addictive, more so than any drug. For me, it's greater than football. I like to play and watch Picigin far more than I like to watch football. That might sound odd, but here it's quite normal.
There are no formal rules for the game, no points and no winners or losers. However, the correct number of players playing at any one time is 5, with substitutions permitted at any point. In the annual World Championships, which have run on this beach since 2005, a competitive element is introduced, with 8 judges rating teams on artistic merit.
I enjoy it most when I manage to reach a really difficult ball. That's the best part of the game, the biggest pleasure. When the team is playing well and the game is of a high standard, it's just the best feeling.
An alternative interpretation of the word Picigin comes from the Italian verb to pinch. The way in which a Picigin ball is created is by plucking or pinching the hairs out of a regular tennis ball, leaving the balled rubber interior. Alongside teammates Zelian and Antisa, Antti Akrap is a world champion.
The Picigin ball, or ballon, is made out of a tennis ball. As you can see, this one is black, but it can be various colours. It can be grey, yellow, etc. It just depends on what emerges when you peel it. You never know. The best Picigin balls are made by a guy called Drago. He has made hundreds of them, and we call him the Picigin Ball Master.
As much part of the ritual as gathering by the same bench every morning, or stripping down to your swimsuit in the middle of winter for the famous New Year's Day game, is a celebration with fellow players afterwards. Picigin, played in its purest form on Bakivisa Beach, is simply a way of life.
All the pleasure that a person can get from love, they can get from playing Picigin. You need to try it to see what Picigin can give you. It takes some effort and fatigue, sweet fatigue, but it will give you everything that is good in life.
Friendships, hanging out together, from pensioners to kids who are still at school. People here can talk to each other about anything. and there are no arguments. When they come here, they just enjoy it, joke around and have fun. It's a great feeling.
There's no comparison. This is the best and most unique game in the world.
Now for the answer to our sporting question. Earlier in the show, we asked you to name the fencer who has won the most number of medals at the World Championships. The answer is Valentina Vezzali with 26, and 16 of them were gold. The Italian is a legend of the sport, and we're privileged to have filmed with her over the years. A foil fencer, she won her first World Championship medal in 1994. Her most recent one came in 2016. Now 45, Vezzali retired from competition after the 2016 World Championships. In addition to her staggering success at the World Championships, she's also won 9 Olympic medals, including 6 golds. Away from her sport, Vezzali became a member of the Italian Parliament in 2013 as part of the Scelta Civica party led by Mario Monti.